Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Good Heart Metaphysical Church. Um, we want to thank Mary, as we always do, for being behind the scenes and doing the behind the scenes work that she does with the camera and the computer. And we want to welcome all white spirits that want to be here with us. And we want to welcome all of you that are watching or listening while we have this live or while you're watching it later on. We want to make sure that everybody is aware that we will be having some pre-recorded ones here in the future, probably not for another 6 weeks or so that we'll be doing it. But when I'll be down for a operation on my hip, and when I'm down, I probably won't be able to do the live ones for a couple of 3 weeks. And we'll be printing out some pre-recorded messages at that point. So be aware of that. Hopefully, it should be hopefully in April sometime that I'll have my operation, because I'm getting a little sick and tired of being in pain all the time. So today's topic is spirit is within you. You probably saw that when you logged in today to see that um, on the camera while you were waiting for me to come out. And that'll be an interesting one. It might not be what you're thinking, but we'll get into that here in a few minutes. I don't know. Do we have any other announcements, Mary? No, she says no. I don't think so either. So let's just get started right into it. Go ahead and pray to your deity, to your guru, to whomever it is that you talk to, and ask to receive the message that you need today. And then after that, after we go through the prayer, we will go into a relaxation process to help us to be receptive to whatever it is that we need. Whatever it is we need to listen to and to bring into yourself today. So as we finish up our prayer, we'll go into a relaxation, and we'll start at the top of our heads, relaxing our scalp and our temples. Relax your forehead and take that crease out from in between your eyes. Relax your eyebrows. Relax your forehead and take that crease out from in between your eyes. Relax your eyebrows and your eyes. Relax your cheekbones and your jaw. Dropping that tongue down to the bottom of your mouth to relax your whole mouth. Relax your ears and your neck, and drop your shoulders down away from your ears and relax the shoulders. Relax your upper arms, your elbows. Relax your lower arms, your wrists, hands, and fingers. As you keep as straight a posture as possible, try breathing with your belly only. And with each breath out, continue to relax another part of your body. Let's go ahead and relax our chest and our upper back, our belly, and our lower back. Sinking down into whatever it is you're sitting on today. Relax your buttocks and your hips without forcing yourself into what you're sitting on. Relax your upper legs and your knees. Relax your lower legs, your ankles, feet, toes. As you continue to relax, go ahead and ask to be brought to the attention of whatever it is that you need to receive today. And let your body relax into that and absorb the message that you have to receive. Take a few moments now in silence and continue to relax. Come out of your relaxation process. Just to receive what it is you need today. Give yourself to your deity, to the universe, to the unified field, to the one. And bring whatever it is that you need to bring about. Okay, so because we're talking about spirit, I'll be getting up here in a minute, probably doing some work on the board. But right now, let's talk about spirit. Spirit is within you. As we said, I believe it was last week and maybe a couple other times, we are not a body with a spirit, but rather we are a spirit with a body. Our main essence is spirit. And that spirit that each one of us has is a fractal or a piece of God. It is God within us. So that makes us very, very powerful. Not powerful like you think of in a third dimensional sense, but more powerful as in you can be who you want to be. You can create what you want to create or manifest what you want to manifest. The challenge is that the veil of forgetfulness has helped to block us from our own spirit, has helped us to create a way that we are more in touch with our body than we are with our soul. We are more in touch even with our mind, our thinking mind, than we are with our soul. But our mind is bigger than our brain. And I'll go into that just briefly here. If you've ever watched anything on the computer or on TV or anything about NDEs, near death experiences, you have seen or listened to people who have left their body and have seen things in the heavens or in the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, and come back and remember everything in more minutely and more definitively than they would normally do it the uh, um, in the world, in the earthly world. Well, if they remember that and they are near death experience and basically brain dead, then the mind is not in the brain. Now, that's not part of today's talk. We have somebody coming down the walk here. Um, so if we are if we are part of if the mind is in that, we want to welcome my brother Paul back. We didn't even know he was traveling. But anyway, so the mind may not, we may look at it and say the mind is not in the brain. The brain is just the computer that processes the mind. You can't remember something in the heavens. You can't remember something out of body if you're brain dead, and the brain is the mind. So let's, how does that go along with spirit in the body? Well, let's investigate that a little bit. First of all, how does spirit get into the body? We're not going into all the different types of ideas because some people say the soul enters the body the moment you're conceived. Some say it is the moment you're delivered. Some say it's so many months into pregnancy. We're not getting into that. It makes no difference. That's not an important part. What is important is that this comes from my guru, Sri Rogananda, that your soul comes in through the crown of your head, that soft spot that you have when you're a baby, and it comes in through, and now it's all through your body, but the main thing to remember is that the soul goes down to the coccyx or the root chakra. Now, let's keep in mind that when you have I don't have all the colors with me today, but I don't have all the colors of the rainbow, so I can't really do anything with all the colors of the chakras. So we'll have to fudge it a little bit. But the base, if I can get these off, the base chakra or the root chakra is red. The next two colors I don't have, so we're just going to draw an asterisk. That's orange. And I don't have yellow either, which I got to find. I got to get all these. But then the next chakra is yellow. And then the next chakra is green. And I'll tell you what all these chakras are here in a minute. The next chakra is blue. The next chakra, I say, is purple. Some people call it indigo. And then the last chakra, we're going to use the opposite color of what it really is. Because some people call it purple, I call it white. And I'll explain to you why. Because spirit is of white light. Spirit is of love. So I believe that this is so let me write on here. Crown. These are the English words for them, not the Hindu words. This is the third eye. This is the throat. I don't know how to spell throat.
It looks like trout.
Oh, well. And this is the heart. By the way, the heart is two colors. It's also pink. We'll go through that. We're going to go through a whole chakra thing here in a few weeks, or maybe next week. Who knows? This is the solar plexus. And then you have the sacral. There's a lot more of these chakras than what I'm going over today. That's why we'll go to them in different. This is the sacral. And this is the root. Well, if you can imagine these being the right color, white light comes in. And then just like the rainbow, it splits into all the colors of the rainbow. So, what my guru told me is that the spirit comes down here. Now, granted, it's all throughout the body. There is no separation between you and spirit. The only separation between you and spirit is what you create by the veil of forgetfulness, by the ego, by the earthly ego. Okay, but what you want to do through meditation and through right living and through diet is you want to bring this out of the root upward. It came in and went to the earth. Now you want to bring this is sort of the earth. We'll go into what all these do here, like I say in a later talk. As you go up, that's what they call raising your kundalini. And then it becomes white. Then you are then you are with the unified field. You are enlightened. You are in bliss. You are in the being of love, the state of being of love, as you raise this up. And you do this through, like I said, through meditation, right living, right diet, through balance, which is often done through yoga or qigong or tai chi. That's all balancing act. It's not really for what we do in the United States for conditioning our bodies. It's to balance our bodies, to understand how all this works together and how we can move up. So, if we can do this, if we raise that kundalini even a little bit, it might stop right here. You might have a block in your sacral. And once you deal with that block, then you can raise it some more and raise it some more as you go through and release those blocks or release those or heal those or balance those, however you want to put it. Now, the word chakra means wheel, and we'll get into that again with the chakra talk. But we want to understand that what we are trying to do is to raise ourselves up from the earthly plane, which is the root, which is security, primal um, existence, and you want to raise from that primal existence up. Well, we've talked about vibration in here, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to raise your vibration as you go up. This is where you're going to have the lower vibration. If you stay in what we call the, what do you want to call it? I have it right on my mind. Survival mode. If you're staying in survival mode, you're down here in the root all the time because that's what the root is survival. So if you're staying in survival mode, you're at a lower vibration. If you can get out of that survival mode and get into other areas of your chakras, then you will raise your vibration and you will be beyond that. So spirit comes in and it's always through us. Spirit doesn't leave us until our body, earthly body, leaves us. And then spirit never leaves us. The spirit just leaves the earthly body and we are spirit again. And then we'll reincarnate and do this all over again. Okay. It is a secular system. It makes no sense that everything else in the universe is secular except us. That makes absolutely no sense. So if we are secular, we reincarnate too. So now what I want to get into though is if spirit's within you, and we know that meditation and we know that right living will help us raise ourselves, how do we listen to our spirit? How do we know what spirit's telling us? Well, there's a couple things that we have to remember. I might have used this scenario once before, but you ever gone to a party and you knew you shouldn't have gone? You just knew it inside yourself. You knew you should not go to that party. And when you got there, something bad happened. So there was a fight or the cops were called or something happened bad. It may not have been real bad, but bad enough that you didn't want to be there. Well, what told you that you shouldn't go? What told you inside your body that you shouldn't do these things? It's called intuition. That's how spirit talks to us. That's one of the ways spirit talks to us. Spirit talks to us by intuition. Where does our intuition come from? Well, years ago when I first started this, I had no idea what they meant by intuition. They always talked about women's intuition, but they never talked about men's intuition. And that's when I started researching it. It's your gut feeling, which Paul just said, which I already knew I was going to say. It's your gut feeling. Well, when you go and get that gut feeling, where does it come from? Why is it called a gut feeling? Because it comes from your gut. It comes from your solar plexus, really. There are as many neurocenters, or almost as many neurocenters, in your stomach as there are in your brain. Now, why would that be? Because spirit comes through those neurocenters. because spirit is part of that, is that gut feeling. Where else does it come from? Where else does the spirit talk to you through? The next biggest place that it talks to you through, and this is, I'm talking about everyday stuff. I'm not talking about meditation right now, but it comes to you through your heart chakra, your solar plexus. Those are the two most obvious places while we are walking awake consciously on this earth where you will feel spirit talking to you. Now, spirit actually talks to you through all the chakras, through all the layers of your aura, which is your body, and each layer of each auric layer does have something to do with each chakra. Um, and then when you're in meditation, your spirit talks to you through your third eye, which is connected directly to that's the next thing to the crown. There are two chakras that are not connected to the directly to the spine, and that is the third eye and the crown. Those are the highest spiritual chakras we have, and they are connected through the brain, then to the spine. All other chakras, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root, are all part of the spine. And like I say, we'll go into the chakras in a little more detail. Maybe we'll do that next week. I don't know. I would like to get all my crayons together that are the right colors before we do that. Because yellow doesn't show up on here very well, so Mary's going to have to really zoom in to see if she can get the color yellow that's on white, or we'll have to get an off color of yellow or something like that that's a little bit darker yellow than the yellow that we wouldn't be able to see. But anyway, so spirit does talk to us. We ignore it most of the time. Many of us are not even aware it's talking to us. Many of us are just sort of slough it off and say, yeah, that doesn't fit the narrative of the day. I have to impress these people, so I have to go to the party. I have to be as good as the Joneses, so I have to do this at my house, even though deep down you know you shouldn't. And when here's the thing: is that the loud voices are not what we want to listen to. It's the quiet voice, because our free will is the loud voice. The soft voice that's inside us that lets the free will overpower it is the one we should be listening to. The little tiny voice that whispers to us, don't go, don't do this, do it this way, be better at this other, be aware of this. The other day I went to help a friend about 60 miles away from our house, and I left at 4 o'clock in the morning. And when I go to help him, I always leave at 4 o'clock in the morning. But the other day I left at 4:15. Now I still have time to get up there at 4:15, but I don't have time to necessarily and stop and visit with the clerk at the convenience store and use the restroom and BS with that, and giving my 15 minutes of winding down from driving the 60 miles before I go out to this person's house. And I was driving up there and I said, wow, I'll have time to do just exactly what I have to do and still be there on time. But I said, I can't get complacent with that and say I can leave 15 minutes late. What I did say was, I wonder if I missed an elk by leaving 15 minutes late. If my spirit didn't make it so that didn't tell me without me being aware of it, to leave 15 minutes late so that the elk could cross the road and I wouldn't hit one and damage myself and injure myself and not get up to help this guy. Or maybe it was a deer, or maybe it was just a slippery road, or whatever it might have been. Is that why? So spirit does those things for us too, as guardian angels. We're all it's a unified field. It's the law of one. Everything and everyone is connected. So spirit can talk to us through guardian angels. Guardian angels can talk to our spirit. Um, archangels, regular angels. Let me throw this out to you. No matter what religion you're in, you're following a sage. For those sages or those deities that you might think are deities may not be God himself in a way you're thinking. They may be another fractile of God that is enlightened. And because of the law of one, we can connect to those sages, whether it be St. Francis of Assisi or Sri Yogananda or Jesus or Krishna or the original Buddha. They still can connect to us because they're in the spirit world doesn't mean they can't connect to us. It just means that we have to be aware and we can study through what they've left behind, but we can also connect with them in the unified field and ask for their help. They were all messengers. They were all enlightened sages, gurus, rishis, whatever you want to call them. And the unified field, I'm not going to tell you how to believe as far as what the unified is and so forth. That's not my job today. But entertain that fact. Entertain the fact that, for instance, my guru, the one that I have right now is Sri Yogananda. His physical form died in the 50s. But yet I can read his books. I can get information from him with my meditations. And maybe I'm even getting some information from him, guidance from him. But when I'm not doing when I'm not in meditation or reading his books, but just while I'm walking this earth. And they have that ability because they are, as I call them, completed spirits or enlightened spirits. So our job to raise, and it's not on here anymore, but our job to raise our vibration is to ascend to that enlightened spirit, that essence of love, to live as a being of love, and understand that we can do that whether we're on the earth or whether we're in spirit. Some people call it ascending to God. And so spirit talks to us. Spirit is within us. Spirit guides us if we let it. If we don't let our free will take our own choice or take the choices of the guidance of the spirit away from us. We can, however, because we are spirit in a human body, we can create a lot of things. We can manifest a lot of things. We can heal ourselves, but only if we have that connection with spirit and believe that we are spirit first and then a body, then the physical. And spirit will then, when you get that gut feeling, and this is an interesting little process. When you get that gut feeling doesn't just stay right here. How do you understand it? Because you still have the computer up here in your head. You still have that brain. Well, what connects these two? Well, The throat is the communication, and it communicates with all the other chakras and brings it up there, I believe. People might disagree with me on that, but that's the communication chakra, and I believe that that's a total communication. So when you get that gut feeling, or you get that feeling in your heart, then you think about it. That's your mind. That's that mind that I say is outside of you and bringing it into your brain. It's coming from within you as well, because spirit is within you. So you bring all these different ways of comprehending, but you can't comprehend any of it until you use your brain. The brain is a computer, is a physical organ that deciphers all these different information that comes from all these different areas. So as spirit is talking to you, you have to, it is brought in through a thought into your brain. Where do thoughts come from? Well, that's another subject, but think about that for a minute. See if you can figure out where thought comes from. Because I don't create my thoughts, they just come to me. I don't sit there and say, I'm going to think this. I don't say that. It just comes to me. So, where did that thought come from? Did it come from your subconscious? Did it come from your mind outside in the akashic field? Did it come from inside you, from your spirit? Where did it come from? You know, so all these things that people talk about using crystals and using pendulums and using um, um, all these different Reiki and all these different things, they're all tools. And what they're tools for is to help you raise your vibration to get in touch with spirit, because spirit ultimately will tell you and guide you as to where you need to go or where you might want to go. And you then let your free will take over and decide if that's the right thing for you. And so, but if you are with spirit, then you are in touch with spirit, in touch with your intuition. Pay attention to your intuition. Don't let other people um, talk you out of it. Um, where did I see? I saw this on. It was a very cute little thing I saw online the other day, and I can only remember two out of the three or four that they had. But the thing said, "Well, if I think differently than you, then I must be a little woo woo." And then the next thing they showed was a picture of Einstein and a picture of Tesla, who all thought outside of the box, but nobody called them woo woo. So, what is woo woo? We all are woo woo, and if you think about it, if we're letting spirit, Einstein was thought of as one of the greatest um, physicists of his time, maybe even up till today. But in truth, if you really studied Einstein, he was a philosopher. He brought spirit in, he brought mathematics in, he brought physics in, he brought sacred geometry in. He brought a lot of stuff together. And that's what a philosopher is one that takes science and spirituality and brings them together. People have the wrong idea of philosophy. And another philosopher that we don't think about is Carl Jung. Um, he was a quote unquote psychiatrist, but he was a philosopher. Again, he went about it a different way. That's another person that they didn't use it in this, but that's another one. So the point that I'm making is don't let anybody tell you that you're out of your mind, because just because you have different thinking than them, just because you're following spirit instead of your ego or your self or your self will, because we have that capabilities of doing. Let's talk about. I just might want to mention one more thing about Einstein. How did he get so smart? Things just came to him, and he understood them. He couldn't read them in a book because he was coming up with these things. Same thing with Tesla. They came from spirit because spirit knows it all. And we're not in touch with spirit enough to see some of this stuff. Most of us, many of us, I should say. I won't say, but many of us are not that close to our spirit to be able to see that all this information is there. All this information is in the vibration of the Akashic records, or the vibration of the unified field, or the, you know, that's another subject we can get into as well, because I can tap into the Akashic records, but it's all there, and these extraordinary people just knew how to tap into that. Edgar Casey's another one. So we can, through spirit, tap into anything that we feel we need. We can create what we want. We can decide what timeline we want to go on. We can move that around anywhere we want to through spirit, not through manipulation of the earthly body, but through spirit. So I don't know if this is exactly what you expected today when I said spirit was within you, but it's where I was going, and it's what have been guided to tell you today. So with that said, subscribe, share this, give us a thumbs up, make a comment, and above all, pay attention to that spirit and be spiritual in everything you do.